Hello and welcome back again to the channel. This is on behalf of the Facebook group Channeling Development and Spiritual Growth. My name is Kim Chamberlain and I have the wonderful opportunity to be able to speak to experienced channelers. And today we're very fortunate to have with us Melody Frascella. Melody, it's great to have you here with us.
Good morning, Kim, and thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's start off with who are you and what are you about?
Well, I was brought up as a spiritualist, attending church as a child to the old McCarvey Street Church in Auckland in the 1960s. So my mother was Eve Higgins, who became a very well-known international medium. It was in my family, generations all the way back. I was the only child of my mother's interested, and so I attended the churches with Mum, and I witnessed the old mediums who came out from the UK, who were amazing to watch, incredible. So I started seeing spirit animals when I was 10, and that was actually at church, and was allowed to join the church circle when I was 15. Mum had circles at her home for many years. She had many guides who spoke through her for me to learn from. And this was a weekly that went on for about 8 years, I think. I was giving healing and messages out to parishioners from 15 years old. Mum was ordained by Mona Stillman, who was also a great international medium, into the Christian Spiritualist Church of the Golden Light in 1983. I also had the privilege of sitting in Mona's home circle and meeting brilliant mediums from the UK that were billeted by the editor of the Psychic News, Ron Gibbs, who's passed now, of course. So Mum ordained Glenys Lindsay, and once Mona had passed, Glenys ordained me in November 2023. So I now run the Church of the Golden Light as Glenys is stepping back a bit as she's in her 80s now. So that's really the beginning of where I've come from, brought up with it, didn't think anything was different, thought everyone could see and hear. And unfortunately, I made that mistake with my children when my eldest child came home from school and said, "I'm so embarrassed, Mum." I said, "What's that?" "Well, I was sitting out at lunch," this is at high school, with this girl, and I said, "Oh, look at that man walking down there." And she said, "What man?" And she came home, she said, "Why didn't you tell me people can't see?" So I thought, oh my gosh, that's terrible. I just didn't think of it. I just, there you go.
It's just so natural to you. What a wonderful way
Yeah.
to live. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It is. So tell us about channeling. What channeling do you do?
Well, I started channeling as in writing down in books in 2017. I know that because I put the date on them. And so I was told to get a pen and paper. And from then I have filled many books with knowledge from the spirit world and beyond. I do have to advise spirit that I am sitting in a quiet place later in the day to receive what they have to say to me. So I have had several guides over the years who have written about their lives when they were on the earth plane, very interesting. Why they were all very different. Some have moved on. Then I get a download of other higher up enlightened guides. So now it's more of a combined energy of white light that resonates at a faster speed. I'm sure you've heard mediums talk about that. So I really have to concentrate hard and listen intently, because I feel privileged to have spirit work with me so I can be of service to them. So some guides give me certain smells to differentiate themselves from others. And I may be, well, here's the funny thing, they're not very pleasant.
Oh
They
dear.
can be smells of rotten cabbage or burning fire, or, you know, things are very unusual. At first, when it first started with the burning, I'm looking around the house looking for this fire. So, you know, it's that strong. So anyway, so I may be busy doing chores, and I'm giving the smell, which means stop what you're doing and be ready for them to contact me. So they never do that at an inconvenient time. So that's, you know, always good. So they talk on a lot of different subjects, mainly to do with bettering yourself, looking at the hard questions, and giving people hope and upliftment. So that's how that all starts. And when I first started writing down these lessons, I found it difficult at times to know whether it was my imagination or spirit talking. The difference is that spirit impress the thought very quickly. And if it's not quick, then it's you and your imagination. So that's how I work out if it's them or not. They also use words that I wouldn't use in everyday use. More profound, he would say, with using the English language that a scholar would use, that kind of language. I always say to our spirit, as people forget to ask, then I'm told, I never thought about asking them. And I get that all the time. Well, did you ask spirit about that? Oh, no, I didn't think about that. I've done that myself, forget to ask them. So I always place myself with protection around me and always thank spirit for passing on their knowledge and love. So if I'm needing advice, I cheat and ask my mum, and she tells me straight what I need to know. I know that I am privileged to teach those who explore spiritual studies and how they can help mankind. And I've run home circles for many years, from beginners right up to advanced. But now, would you believe, I'm having a break and going to a circle myself next year with the medium who lives just up the road. Her name is Hetty. As with everything, you have to practice. So the more you practice, the easier it is for your guides and other light workers to make a clearer connection. So that's easier for my subconscious to decipher. It also takes a lot of concentration without distractions to hold the energy within to understand the thoughts that they are freely giving me by the highest source of love, which is within the God source. So that's how I see it. I wondered for years what these lessons would be used for. Little did I know that as a minister, I submit my congregation to the lessons given to me to them, and they are grateful for that. So the medium of the day usually picks up upon what is said and carries it into their address. This happens often. And even the songs usually chosen relate to what I said, which always seems to amaze me, but it shouldn't really, because it happens so often. So your question was your advice to others, and what I would say to that is, to those who wish to move forward with their channeling, is first to ask Spirit for help in finding a source of learning, albeit a circle, a group, or online teaching like you're doing, Lisa, which is just fabulous. To show everyone is different. I think with your other people that have been talking about this, everyone's different in how they approach it. Yeah, we all approach it in different ways. Then again, to practice, training your mind to get to your subconscious state of a higher vibration. So it is easier for your guides to connect with you. So as you're connecting into that higher state, you're raising your vibration. They're putting their vibration down somewhere, you meet in the middle, and then it's much easier for both of us. Then, of course, you can ask Spirit to make it easy. Then you can use your clairaudient abilities to hear what they are saying and impressing on you if you've got that ability. Then once that happens, you can start moving on to other things like symbols. Spirit like to use symbols a lot. I don't, but some people do. You know, a red rose means this and a dove means this kind of thing, so that you work those out with your guides. So remember, you are asking Spirit for the ability to serve mankind, relating the love, encouragement, knowledge, and healing onto whomever needs it. So thank you for this opportunity to tell my story, and hopefully it may help those listening. So is there anything else you'd like to ask me in regards to what I've just written?
Yes, all the writing that you've written down in 2017, what have you done with it?
Well, it's sitting here in books. Quite a lot of it I have written out. You know, I've typed out and put it into a folder on my computer. So when I'm wanting to read something as a lesson at church or somewhere else, wherever I'm going, that people ask me, I look through them and I'm basically drawn to one. So I print that off, take it, and it's always the right one, which I'm glad, because people say, I say at the end, can anybody relate to this? And then all the hands go up and you think, great, I'm glad that it's hit the mark with someone and they can learn from that or help them in some way. So eventually, you know, when I'm not doing 1,000 things at once, I will probably type out all of them and could probably make a good book out of it. But, you know, until that time, I'll just keep writing.
Just keep that, just sitting there. Yeah. So my final question. So for those who are starting out, and as often happens when we start out, we think, I'm making this up. How do you know that you're not making it up when you've got to that stage? How do you know?
As I said, Spirit gives you a connection that's about 1/4 of a second for one sentence.
Right.
So if you can catch that, fantastic. This is why some mediums will be on the platform and you'll see them going, what did you say again? Or you can see them talking with their head going, I didn't catch that name or whatever. It's because they talk that impression is put onto your subconscious mind very, very quickly. So that's how you know. If it's just, oh, you're thinking about it, well, your thinking mind isn't that quick for one whole sentence in 1/4 of a second. So that's how I work it out. If it's quick, yep, that's it. If it's not, or if I'm not quite sure, I'll say, can you give that to me again? Because I think it's me. And if I don't get it again, I know it's me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank
You're
you. I
welcome.
didn't know your story at all, so that's absolutely fascinating.
Well, there's not many of us that were brought up like that. You know, when I was a child, there wasn't many children that would go to the spiritualist churches. And remember, it was, you know, not long after the war, and mediums were very busy bringing back loved ones that had been passed in the war. And then, of course, we had basically straight after the Second World War, not far after that, then it was the Vietnam War, and that went on forever. And our troops from New Zealand went there too. I even had a cousin who went. He did come back. So there was a lot of work that mediums were doing, especially, you know, in those days of the war days, because I was talking to, what you believe, the second minister of the Golden Light. One time when I was getting ordained, I contacted all of them. There was one I couldn't get, and I said, could you send someone off to go and find her and bring her back because I want her story. So the church has been there for 92 years. So there's been 7 ministers. So yeah, my mother was the 5th, I was the 7th. So the second one, she came to me the next day because she was obviously off somewhere. And she talked to me for quite a long time about, in those days, those First and Second World War days, really, that she was there. It was the church was absolutely packed with people in sadness, thinking, well, is my boy ever going to come back? Or I haven't had a letter yet, or are they still alive? It was a very busy time for mediums, and she made that pretty clear that the churches just was so horrendously busy. And there is quite a few churches in Auckland who have been around for 90-something years. I think we're the second oldest, and Dunedin's Christian Spiritualist Church is the oldest. Yeah. So there was definitely a lot of work to be done. And I've noticed, the time that Mum was there, the congregation was quite high, and then it dwindled down like a lot of churches. And over the last particularly 5 years, all churches, and I mean Anglican, you name it, the amount of people going to them has really gone down. And a lot of beautiful churches have completely closed down. My sister goes to a church, a cathedral in the city in Auckland that could take easy 200 people, and there's 35 or so people that go there on a Sunday. So I've just noticed, though, in the last year that people are starting to come back, and it's not the older people, it's the young people. So every week in the church, there's new young people coming in, and that's anything from early 20s to what I consider young, to 40. And you think, wow, that's really great. And you go and talk to them and, why they've come. And one guy I spoke to last Sunday said, I never knew anything about spiritualist churches. I went and had a reading because my marriage had broken up and someone had advised me to go and see a medium. And when I went there, I couldn't believe what she said. And she told me about spiritualist churches, and I found you online, and here I am. And he was really so happy within his life. He said, I was at the brink of not doing too good things to myself, and now I'm happy because I'm here. I have a family, because I can't see my kids. So for me to think, great, I'm glad that this has happened, that you've been able to come here. I also had a lady come on Sunday, which was our Christmas service, and I saw her 18 months ago. I was phoned by someone to go and see this lady because she wasn't that far from me, and she was an alcoholic, and she was very psychic, and she wanted me to come and bless her house and sage it, because she had a lot of spirit there. So I went over there, and yes, she did have a lot of spirit there. I talked to her about all that for about 3 hours. I saged her house, but she didn't quite have the confidence to stop drinking. Anyway, she rang me up a few months later and said she stopped drinking. And I said, well, that's fantastic. Hopefully you'll go to AA meetings and it'll get better and better. She arrived on Sunday, 18 months later, to thank me. She hasn't drunk since then.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
and I
amazing.
think, and I stood there and I came out and I just thank you, Spirit, for what you did, because it was them that sent me.
Yes.
It's them telling me what to tell her, calming people down, getting their confidence back up, because the biggest thing that the human race has not got is confidence. And we have to build people's confidence, their self-esteem up every day, even if it's just going to the supermarket and smiling at the checkout counter lady, I'm always telling people, what a wonderful day it is, what a beautiful dress, whatever, because the smile that you get back is, oh, you've made my day.
Mm.
And so many people come up to me, you've made my day. I'm like, really? I thought, what have I done? Oh, okay, rightio. To them, it's a big deal. And I think, well, that's not me. I just say,
Mm.
you think spirit, not me. I am just the conduit. I just come
Yeah.
through me to you.
You're the vessel, aren't you, to raise people into the
Yes.
higher vibrations?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So the work that you're doing there in this particular course is so needed. I'm so thankful that you are doing this for Spirit, because they are very thankful that you are.
Oh. Thank you.
Yeah, as I said to you when I spoke last time and gave everyone a one-sentence message, and your one was, don't feel guilty about doing all this work. You just keep doing it because you're doing the right thing.
Oh, thank you. What a lovely note to finish on. Thank you, Melody.
You're most welcome.